Welcome to the Moonstam Cast. I am Jorden. As you may be able to see or hear, Brian is not here right now. Brian is currently experimenting with an MK Ultra-like mind control experiment to influence the committee through their dreams to let Notre Dame into the college football playoff. So with that said, I'm here. I have no stake in the college football playoff whatsoever. I was surprised to see UH at 21, not because 9-3 is a bad outcome for the season. I was trying to think of the right word because it wasn't record. It was outcome, I think. But it's not a great, it just never felt, it was the eye test. It's like the BYU eye test where you watch BYU and go, yeah, they are 11-1, but they're also playing some of the worst Big 12 teams, which, I mean, you may be able to argue that's all Big 12 teams at this point. I don't have a ton of notes this week, and it's not because there's nothing happening or nothing I want to talk about. It's because this is going to be somewhat of a weird episode because Brian's not here, which means I'm kind of left to my own devices, which I love hearing myself talk. I don't like the sound of my own voice, but I love hearing myself talk. And so there's a lot on the college football playoff and just kind of college sports in general I want to talk about. And it's not good for a discussion. There is no part of this that's good for a discussion. It's more just my own personal thoughts that have come up in the last week or so since Texas beat A&M and kind of throwing the entirety of college football into disarray. So I want to start with the rankings from this past week. Now, I don't know how to say this. I am incredibly ready for Sunday, not for the reason that we get to see who's made it, but more because I am so ready to see the bloodbath that's going to come. I was going to save this for a second, but we'll start with talking about one University of Texas. And I think this week has reminded me and maybe brought up some PTSD from A&M fans. I'm not an A&M fan myself, which I've made clear. I'm a UH grad. Have 2 degrees from there, so I was there for a long time. It has reminded me how annoying the University of Texas is when they don't immediately get their way. And I know Texas people will come at me and say, Jorden, we are 9-3. with wins over some of the top teams in the nation. And I go, that's awesome. Good for you guys. And realistically, if you were 10-2 and your only losses were Georgia and Ohio State, and we'll get to some other things in a second that I think the committee is going to look at and be like, well, I'm not really sure. Because we've had this talk with Texas has gotten better as the season's gone along. And that's to be expected with a new quarter. I don't want to say new, but he is new effectively. He played 4 games total during the Quinn Ewers era, one of which he redshirted. He's only played 2 games against Cupcakes. A new offensive line. I mean, effectively a new offensive line. A new class of wide receivers that wasn't the elite class. They're still good, but they're not the elite class. A defense that seems to wonder at times. And a coach who seems to not understand that your run game can't just last for half the first quarter. And so they've if for those of you in Big 12 country, because I don't know how prevalent this was in outside of Big 12 country. Maybe SEC country also got this, but during the A&M leaving the Big 12, I've talked to enough A&M fans at this point who seem to agree that this is the official or unofficial story of why A&M left, even if they say it's for, it just means more. Because UT has this, how do we say this? Has this little annoying habit when they don't get their way. College football is made to change. The structure of the system. We say a system is what it does. Texas says a system is what I want it to do. And if I don't get it done immediately, it's going to change for the worse more times, 9 times out of 10. The Longhorn Network and effectively UT trying to run all of the Big 12. And as a Texan myself, it is incredibly annoying that for years, my sales tax slash gas tax slash just tax to the Texas state government, it was funding A&M and UT getting more players or better players, which whatever. They probably were going to get that anyway. And now I'm funding their NIL fund with my gas each time. And I'm also funding Texas Tech, which is incredibly annoying. I saw something really weird, which was a guy putting Texas Tech in the 6th seed, but having them win the Big 12 still. So I'm not really sure what he's thinking. I don't think people understand how the conference championships work. But Texas has this incredibly annoying habit of, hey, I want my way. Wow. And not, I mean, there's like that. There are those two tweets that are like, every Texas argument is wah, wah, wah. And then, oh, Texas doesn't get its way. Let's restructure all of college football. All this to say, Texas has, and I think there was one person in our comments who said Texas is not an SEC team. It just doesn't feel like it. And I would say I agree with you mostly. But they've done something that every SEC team does, which is if they're 9-3 or even 10-2, but usually 9-3, especially in the new college football landscape, or if they're on the cusp, they're a bubble team. They're trying to get you to forget about the fact, and this talks about what I was going to mention earlier. They lost to a 4-8 Florida, and then also like went to overtime against Kentucky. And then what was it? No, it was Mississippi State. I had to pull out like some miracles to get that done. They are doing the thing, which I find incredibly fascinating from college football teams, where they say you can look at our wins, not our losses, because their losses seem to be that they want us to remember at least are Ohio State and Georgia. And the Georgia loss is actually pretty bad if you look at it. It was by 25 points. And in that, like, not only did they look good the first half, Kirby Smart went back in the second half and just said, hey, what if we crush them? Like, what if we just end this game? And they did. And I know I've been talking about Texas for almost 10 minutes, and I'm sorry, because I hate myself too for this. But they done like, and I'm sorry, this is not good podcasting, but again, this is me trying to like get everything out. A&M for years we've said has been annoying because they're just like annoying people. Like Midnight Yell is just like an annoying concept if you watch it live. They have an overinflated sense of worth, but at least they aren't like, oh, let's change the system, or like whine every time they don't kind of get, like they do whine, but it's more like they whine about Texas getting something they don't. Texas whines if, I mean, a single thing doesn't go their way. And I'm just going to say this because I know they're ranked 13. And so they're effectively out of the ranking system for now. I'm weary of what next week brings because as much as I'm looking up that and I'm looking up some other things, but as much as the rankings this week made it seem very much so that Texas is going to be left out, Notre Dame probably will be left out, Miami may be left out. They have all that. At the same time, I don't know if I trust any of them on the committee as far as I can throw them also. And this is maybe just a little pet peeve I have about like committees in general recently. And I did not go last year through the March Madness committee to the college football or college basketball selection committee, but I went through the college selection committee, the college football selection committee, and there was one active Big 12 person, and there were a multitude of SEC and Big 10 people. There was one guy who I think is the Michigan State AD who was at Cincinnati, but like he was in Cincinnati when Cincinnati was in the Big 12. And I don't know. Honestly, I can't think of what conference they were in when I was a child. Sorry, my bad. and that's when he was their athletic director. And so, like, yeah, in a way, he has a tie to the Big 12, but he hasn't been there since I think 2010. So I don't know if that really counts as a solid tie. Um, and if I remember correctly, there's one other guy who was I think actually a coach at Cincinnati at one point. But again, you go elsewhere, you're not like having that in mind. And maybe this leads to the BYU thing, but I think the BYU thing is different. Where yes, I think they should be getting more national coverage because of the fact they're 11-1 and they're a Power 4 school. And because of that, they should at least get the talking points. With that said, I've watched BYU, and I think we've all watched BYU, and we're going to watch BYU again this weekend, and we're going to see that BYU is not the. It's like the it's like the Cincinnati of a couple years ago. I think I don't remember what year it was. When Cincinnati was in the college football playoff, all the years mixed together at some point, where Cincinnati went up against Alabama and just got murdered. Or maybe not Alabama, but somebody. Went up against somebody and got murdered in the first round. That would be BYU here. I mean, there's a good chance like a Tulane could beat them or North Texas could beat them. So, yes, I don't think BYU should get in and will get in. I think BYU is like effectively left out right now. With that said, I hate the fact that the Big 12, and maybe this is a newer like Big 12 fan by default, not because I was like I don't like the Big 12. It's more like, oh yeah, my team was not in the Big 12 and now they are. I do hate the idea that only like one person really represents the interests of the Big 12 in that room. And I think it's pretty apparent in the way everyone talks about the Big 12. It's just a weird thing. And we're heading towards super conferences. And this is what I was talking about, where like this isn't a good one-on-one discussion thing. This is more just let me get things out of my system and talk about them. But yeah, Texas does not deserve to be in the college football playoff. It doesn't. And it's not because of the fact that they're 9-3. It's if they were 10-2, and I also want them to make a statement about this. Like I want the college football playoff committee to make some sort of like symbolic statement about this, where like, listen, yes, you are 9-3, but you have like good losses on your record. You also lost to Florida, to 4-8 Florida, and I remember watching that game. Wasn't like Florida just said, "Oh, we're actually a really good team." All of a sudden, it was just Texas played badly. And yeah, wins and losses matter. Like, and this is again another thing I have, and this is I don't know if this is a very clippable episode, but like, wins and losses matter. Head to head matters. Strength of schedule matters. It all matters, and it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, it's not like Brian comes on here sometimes, the co-host, and he says, well, yeah, if you let Notre Dame in, you have to let Miami in because head-to-head has to matter. And I think I've said before, I'm like, no, it doesn't. Like, it doesn't have to matter. Like, yes, it matters, but all at the same time, it doesn't matter. None of this is, there's no, and I know on the website, the College Football Playoff Committee, with College Football Playoff just in general, I don't know who technically owns it. They have head-to-head and strength of schedule and all that jazz as part of the, hey, this is the criteria we're looking for when we make our selections. At the same time, no, they don't. Like, if that was truly the case, well, wouldn't like you have a BYU in there? Because they effectively they are relying on the eye test in that case. And like, yes, I know the strength schedule may not be as high as some other teams, but like Miami was in the ACC. I don't know if that's a great point, but I think at the same time, it's like yeah, but they're also like vibe checking this entire thing. Like it's like, oh, bruh, a vibe check? Can we get a vibe check? A vibe kill in here? And that's exactly what they're doing. And like, I subscribe heavily to the evil committee theory, which is stop asking the committee to justify its decisions in a meaningful way. Like if Notre Dame gets in, Miami has to get in because of head-to-head. No, they don't, because the committee is evil. They're an evil committee. And so because of that, every decision they make, just an evil decision. Just an evil decision. So you don't have to like they don't justify like every time I see. I'm trying to think of the guy's name. I've been trying to look up this entire time. Uh, whenever I see what Hunter Yurchek. That took forever to find Hunter Yurchek, who I think was he was the AD at UH at one point when Kelvin Sampson joined. I ever see Hunter Yurchek on TV? It feels like every time he says something, like every interview he has, is just the most ridiculous thing. Also, I just realized, yeah, I forgot he served at the University of Houston. So there's another one. My bad. Oopsie. He's also an SEC guy, and I don't know if you want to put him up there as like he's a representative for the Big 12. No, he's not. He's barely even represents the college football playoff committee because he is. It feels like every interview I see with Hunter Yurchek is just there's something in there that's just egregious. It feels, and I'm sorry for this comparison, but it's the best comparison I can give you off the top of my dome. It feels like a Prince Andrew interview where he just says something egregious and you're like, dog, like I'm not even on your side. I'm like, I need you to, like, I need some competence. It's just ridiculous stuff. And he does the same thing. It's like, hey, that's ridiculous what you said. And so no, I don't trust them as far as I can throw them. And so I subscribe to the evil committee theory. And the evil committee theory says, hey, they don't actually care about, like, they don't have a solid framework. They're going to go in there and vibe check. Now, I am still under the impression, and I don't think this, because as I've said, we've kind of gone, I've gone through, and we in this podcast have gone through and said, hey, like the committee is an SEC and Big Ten committee with some others sprinkled in, not really a Big 12 committee. There's like a Middle Tennessee guy. There's a Miami of Ohio. So there's like a disparate, like those guys are like the controls. They're there to be like the neutral parties who don't really have a stake in, hey, the SEC or the Big Ten doing well in this. I am still convinced they are looking for a reason to throw Ole Miss out, or looking for a reason to throw someone out. And I don't really know who would be in the top right now, only because I can't tell you who it's going to be. Like I don't know who's going to be right now, who they would throw out. Cause like, just going through this, you can't, I mean, for the first five, throwing them out would be ridiculous. The first five, like Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, Texas Tech, Oregon, ridiculous to throw them out. Ole Miss, you can only really technically throw out because of the Lane Kiffin situation. But I'm going off like the Florida State situation. It's just a 1-for-1 equal being. And then A&M, Oklahoma, Alabama, don't think you can throw those out. Notre Dame is the first one out right now because I mean, Virginia or Duke comes in, Virginia comes in, or Duke wins, and then probably, let's say, Tulane and JMU, just the top team from each conference. And I mean, you look at BYU's 11, Miami's 12. Again, everyone complaining about Notre Dame being ahead of Miami. Evil committee theory, bro. That's all you got to do. Just evil committee this shit. And so I'm fully convinced they're trying to throw someone out. I did see Vanderbilt was thinking about trying to figure out how to play a game this weekend against somebody to up their like, you know, it's like for your consideration. And as much as I want to clown on that for a real, like, you guys are 14th, you're effectively 16th in the ranking, just because I mean, you're getting two extras who are not in that top 10, top 12. You really think like they're going to let you in over Texas or Miami, or I actually probably let them in over BYU, like a Notre Dame. At the same time, that's actually an excellent idea. Now you'd have to play like, and this is maybe a thought for another day, but when we're not in the midst of the situation, in midst of the incoming slaughter, that is the December 7th. But maybe there's a world where like, if you're, let's say, just in the bracket ranking, not in this ranking, in the bracket ranking, you're like a 13 through 17. You guys can do a playoff or or I don't know, you guys can do a playoff or something like that. But the math doesn't work. You see, but what I'm saying is like, I can't clown on the fact that they're trying. When again, if we stick with my evil committee theory, where the committee is evil and has no actual criteria other than whatever they feel in the moment, I don't think it's a horrible idea. Like, is there a world where, let's say, Vanderbilt decides to play like Utah, and Vanderbilt beats Utah? Well, one, does that actually count as an official win? And two, can they get moved up? Because, like, do you look at maybe like in Oklahoma and say like, oh, or like in Alabama and go, well, yeah, but the Vanderbilt played Utah and won. Now, do I think that's ever going to be the case? No, I think it'd have to be like a real cusp team, like a Notre Dame versus Miami, again, 2.0. Actually, I've stumbled into another thought process, which is head to head. If head to head does matter, but it also doesn't matter, why not just play the people again? I mean, in this case, Notre Dame would win again. Now, I know Brian would say effectively, I don't know if I believe that. At the same time, Miami is a very incredibly different team than they were week one. It's a thought. It's like, because again, if we are subscribing to the evil committee theory, which this podcast has now become a subscriber to the evil committee theory, you can, I mean, there's no world, like, why not try? Like, I know Texas fans are trying, saying like, if we don't get in, we're going to use the networks. It's like, first of all, go fuck yourself. Just, there's nothing to say to that. But second off, like, don't lose to Florida. I meant to make this point earlier. It's about Texas again. I'm sorry. This is a very Texas heavy podcast, and I apologize to everyone for that. Do you remember in like 2022? I think it was 2022 when Texas A&M was a cusp team to March Madness, and they had gotten really hot at the end of the season, and they were convinced they should be added to March Madness. They were like convinced. They were like, it will even take the playing game. We'll win that game, and they probably would have, because they were hot. But there's a little thing, a little caveat. They did lose 8 in a row during the season at one point, and the death knell of that entire argument was like, hey, like, don't lose 8 in a row. And so I look at Texas fans and I say kind of the same thing of like, hey, like, yeah, you're 9-3. You have I'm going to say one good loss. Georgia is technically a good loss to a good team. At the same time, it was by a lot. And also the Kentucky and Mississippi State games, I'm not really sure. Like, those are wins, but they're kind of like the loss to Georgia, where you're like, yeah, they're wins, but like, we got to take those into account, right? We can't just say they're wins. Like, wins and losses matter to an extent where you have to actually look at the wins and losses and see, what does the win look like? What does the loss look like? And so Texas has become what it hates, because they probably were saying, I imagine they would say the same thing if it was A&M again. Don't lose 8 in a row. Like, if you want to have that legitimate shot at the spot of March Madness, that's like, I don't know, a 13 seed, an 11, it probably would have been an 11 seed, honestly, but like, a higher seed or lower seed. Sorry, numbers confuse me. Don't lose 8 in a row. If you want to not have to struggle to be in the college football playoff when there are 12 teams, don't lose to Florida. And like, I think it's been made pretty clear by the committee and others that the Florida loss is the issue. It's not the Ohio State loss. As much as Texas fans want to sit here and say, well, we're just never scheduled a hard out of conference game. It's like, that's not the issue. Like, if you were 10-2 and it was Ohio State that was your loss outside the conference, everyone would be like, yeah, they're number one. And honestly, right now, I look at them like, actually, for what that Ohio State team is right now versus what the Texas team was at the beginning of the season, it's actually not a bad loss. Georgia loss was a bad loss, but that was its own problem. Florida loss is like a different beast entirely. Don't lose to Florida. And then don't like threaten college football. Just the dumbest. Like, it's just, everyone just forgot. Like, they were just the most annoying people in the world. And that sucks. On this topic of scheduling, and I'll have Brian come back and we can talk about this at some point. And I saw Notre Dame's non-conference, but they're all non-conference. Their 2026 schedule, and it's a lot of Big Ten teams, a lot of ACC teams, the usual stuff. USC at the end, and so kind of had this thought process of hey, so we're moving into a new scheduling kind of meta in college football. It's like GPA play, trying playing the GPA game back in high school. Where, yeah, like the committee, again, let's go back to this, the evil committee theory. The committee's evil and they will just do things. Well, we're going to play our non-conference games against like USF or Chattanooga or Charlotte, as Alabama does. And so if you're like a Big Ten school, and let's say, I can't remember their exact schedule. I think Wisconsin plays them. Wisconsin is not a good football team this year. What if next year they are a good football team? I know contracts are signed, ink is the dots are on the i's. There's no going back. What if they just stop scheduling Notre Dame? What does Notre Dame do then? Because yeah, they maybe can go like G5, group of 5 teams and feast on them, but that doesn't. We kind of go back to the BYU issue there, which is, yeah, they're winning, but are they winning against great teams? Like you can be 11-1 and not look good and also play against like Big 12 opponents, which again, I advocate for, but I also understand the limitations, which are Big 12 not really a football conference this year, except for one team, which is fully funded by gas money. So what is like, when does that meta begin is my question. Because I don't think there's it might happen. It's going to happen at some point. I don't think it'll be to the 2030s. And at that point, we might have the 32 person or 32 team college football playoff. And like even USC, who is their, historic rival, this storied rival. Well, if they go, well, hey, we're in the Big Ten now. We could play you guys and lose or win, but given the current situations of both schools, probably lose. Or we could just schedule another shitty non-conference school. And because we're a Big Ten team, even if we play only the bottom half of the Big Ten, it still looks good. We're still going to get in the college football playoff, which again may push Notre Dame into a conference. They are playing conference for basketball. I imagine other sports as well. Why not? This is a larger question. I don't think I'm equipped to answer because I don't know Notre Dame as well as Brian. I think I've hit on a lot of the topics I want to hit on for the college football playoff. It's like a very Texas driven week, which I apologize to everyone and also just God for. Why would you ever want that for anybody to have to talk about Texas that much? But they're just an annoying school. It's nice to remember that sometimes, that as much as we like to clown on A&M for being just the weird kids, like the theater kids of college football, college sports, Texas is like the, do you know who my daddy is? And like they pulled out weight, and it's like, you guys actually haven't been that good, like historically. Like as much as you want to pretend you have been, you really haven't been. So, okay. Had one other note. And the college, by the way, this is going to be a great college basketball weekend. December 6th is going to feed families. I remember, I have to look up who it is again, because I remember looking at it going like, oh, this is going to be really good. Okay. I want to talk about one last thing. The Players Air Tournament. How do I feel about it? I don't know. I don't love it. Like, it's also Thanksgiving week. And Feast week, unless it's like the Maui Invitational of the past, or like a smaller tournament, a regional tournament, it's not going to get a ton of people. It's going to get the people who travel or can travel or want to travel during Thanksgiving break. Very rarely is going to get like a Final Four level people, venue, whatever, with the amount, like the scheduling and the place. And it kind of does suck to play in a mostly empty arena for like a lot of the tournament. That said, John Rothstein today said the Royal Palm Invitational, a new early season tournament in college basketball, will debut in Dubai in November of 2026. Multiple powered conferences are expected to be involved. And this is where it begins, isn't it? I know there's been like jokes for years about how, hey, when is the Saudi public fund or whatever going to start investing in college football and contributing NIL money to the university? Didn't A&M had it was at UAE or Saudi Arabia where Texas A&M had a campus for a second. But like the joke's been like, oh, the Saudi royal family or Mohammed bin Salman will come in and get some money, and next thing you know, you have like $1 billion NIL fund. And not the Texas Lamborghini thing is like looks dumb when you have guys buying yachts. Jokes, ha ha ha. This is how it begins. And like as much as I don't love like a players era tournament where it seems kind of just it seems lifeless and empty, but at least it makes sense for where it is. Thanksgiving week, Vegas, $1 million on the line. You're not going to get a ton of people as it is. It's Thanksgiving week. It's feast week for a reason. People go home. People are doing things. It's a very busy time of year. It's in Dubai. Dubai as well. I already have opinions on. It's like a soulless city, which it's like Dallas where it hides its problems behind the vanity of it all. Shout out Dallas. But this is just the worst thing that can happen because next thing you know, it's going to become, oh hey, why don't we have the Final Four in Riyadh? Hey, WWE can do it. Why can't UFC can do it? Why can't college basketball? Well, because fundamentally that's like having the World Series in Riyadh. That's like having the World Series literally anywhere else. But World Series needs to stay in America. The Super Bowl needs to stay in America. It's not like some nationalistic thing. It's just like, hey, this is where it is. Baseball is America's pastime. This becomes somewhat nationalistic, so I'm not going to continue on that route. But like, I don't know. It's really weird, and it just feels like I was talking earlier about how this whole Texas fiasco, which again self-imposed, don't lose it to Florida, feels like the beginning of a new era in college football, which is for the worst in every single complete way. This feels like, oh, this is the beginning of making college basketball worse in every single way, just in a different way, and really just college sports in general. Getting, I don't know if we want I know we have probably had foreign investors before in college sports in some capacity, but not to the extent that I imagine it's going to happen soon. Much to think about. People are saying.
Hey everybody, Brian interrupting Jordan's solo podcast just to give my NFL picks, NFL bets, and a little bit something special for the NCAA stuff since it's championship weekend. Of course, scheduling conflicts per usual. Welcome to the holidays. I just whistled. It sucks that we weren't able to record together, but we will be recording a long show on Tuesday, both reactions and picks for the following week. So there's only going to be one show next week, and then it's going to be a chaotic December. It's going to be really bad. We might have to look at doing one show a week in December, but that's for me and Jordan to discuss on Tuesday. I'm sure he killed it. He's very good at these solo podcasts. He's a very good podcaster overall. I miss him. I'm sorry we didn't get to have our usual discussions and banter and jokes and everything. I do not have an intro joke, even though you're inserting this at the tail end of the podcast somewhere. But yeah, let's just go run through it real quick, and then I'll let Jordan wrap it up and finish out, and that'll be the Moonstamp Cast 231, I believe. All right, so last week for bets was not great for me. I went 6-8 to bring my total up to 95, 99, and 5. So it's been a bad year. So maybe bounce back this weekend? I don't know. The confidence is waning quickly. But Cowboys -3. Bills Bengals over 53.5. Jaguars money line. Jets +2.5. Saints +8.5. Steelers +6. Seahawks -6.5. Titans Browns over 33.5. That is disgusting. But that line is so low. That's probably going to be the worst game played this year, and I'm looking forward to it, actually. Commanders +2, Broncos Raiders under 40. That game's gross. Bears +7.5, Rams -7.5, Chiefs -3, Eagles -3. That is Brian's betting corner. We're going to jump over to just pick them, just straight up pick them. Here we are. I went 9-7 last week. That's actually the worst week I've had since we've been doing this. I had 7 losses. It was not fun. Starting off Thursday Night Football, Cowboys at Lions. I'm going to go Cowboys. Titans at Browns. Seahawks at Falcons. Seahawks. Colts at Jaguars. I'm going to go the Jaguars. I think the Colts are on the downtrend. I think the Jaguars are on the uptrend. Commanders at Vikings. I'm going Commanders for this one. I do not trust this Vikings team at all, man. It does not look good. I don't know if JJ McCarthy's the guy. Or 9 is, I should say. So I'm going to go Commanders. Bengals at Bills. I think Bengals are going to be riding high after Joe Burrow's returned, and I think this Bills defense is doo-doo poo-poo. So doo-doo butt cheeks, poop from a butt, if you will. So is the Bengals, don't get me wrong. But this has classic written all over it. I'm going to go Bengals just because I'm a Joe Burrow fan. Saints at Buccaneers. Steelers at Ravens. This is... In years past, this is a fun weekend because you're like, oh, it's Ravens-Steelers weekend. Let's go. These teams don't look great. I'm going to go Ravens, though. Dolphins at Jets. I'm going to go Jets. Foolishly, I think they should try and lose. Broncos at Raiders. Broncos. Rams at Cardinals. I'm going to go Rams. Bears at Packers. I'm going the Bears. I feel like this is the year for them to run the NFC North. I said that, and now they're going to fucking collapse. And sorry, Chicago, but not really. I don't really like Chicago sports. I lived up there for a couple of years, and being a Houstonian was not well received. This was even before the cheating scandal for the Astros. This was 2014 to 2016, halfway through 2016. Moved up August 2014, moved back, and transferred to Alabama summer of 2016. So just under 2 years. Texans at Chiefs. I'm going Chiefs. This has Texans on the upswing, Chiefs on the downswing. Primetime disappointment. Texans rip your heart out, and we get confused more about what to do with the season written all over it. I've lived and died with this team for so long to know that's just what's coming. I've told this story 100 times. I don't know if people actually believe me, but when we were up 24-0 against the Chiefs, I turned to my buddy Neil and I looked him dead in the eyes. I said, we're going to lose this game. This has Houston disappointment. Patrick Mahomes is the next, big thing, the greatest thing that's since sliced bread. Like, this is his championship, run. And alas, there he goes. Yeah, Chiefs. And then Eagles at Chargers. I don't know, man. Both these teams are broken in different ways. I'm going to go Eagles just because it's a win-win. If the Eagles win, I get a win here. If the Eagles lose, I get a laugh at Philadelphia fans. Mainly one Philadelphia fan. That's part of a much larger podcast. So that's going to be my pick'em this week. Jorden, I'm sure, either gave you his pick'ems, or he's going to give you pick'ems after this. And then I'm just going to run down the Big Four championships for me. Man, rest in peace to the Pac-12. Big 12, BYU, Texas Tech. I'm going BYU plus 13, but Texas Tech obviously to win. SEC, Georgia and Alabama. I think Georgia wins by more than a field goal or more. So I don't know. I can't get a really good read on any of these. The SEC is fucking weird this year. It's weird this year. Ole Miss might be the best team. ACC, I'm going Virginia minus 4.5 over Duke. Duke somehow snuck in here, and I don't think they have a prayer. I think the ACC is a bad conference. But, hey, listen, I know what right to talk, right? Like, we don't have a fucking conference, and it might screw us with the upcoming we're 10 still. But I digress. We cannot get into the playoffs unless Miami is into the playoffs. And the committee put them at 12, which means they're the first one out. So I need BYU to lose. I think I need Alabama to lose. And Duke winning wouldn't be the worst either. Duke winning would not be the worst either, I think. Duke has no prayer. And then the last game, the big game, the big game, the Big Ten, decide who the number 1 seed is going to be. Ohio State versus Indiana. It's Indiana versus Ohio State. I think Ohio State is technically the home team. Ohio State minus 4. They dismantled Michigan. Indiana could be that program, but the way Ryan Day has those boys playing and the way Ryan Day is coaching right now, as much as I don't like him, he's a great coach. And I just don't see anyone beating this Ohio. I think they're going back to back. I really do. I hope to be so wrong. But yeah, that's going to do it for me. I just came basically just to stop by. I'm recording this hours before he is. I'm recording this at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Last time Brian wasn't here, I forgot to put in my NFL picks. So, oopsie. I texted him afterwards and said, I'll send them to you. Never did. I had them written down, at least. I'm going to run through those real quickly. I don't really know. We haven't heard Brian's portion of this, which is like 7 minutes. So I'm just going to go through this, and then this will be my sign off, and Brian will come in. Okay. Cowboys, Lions. Actually, I'll just say the thing out loud. Lions, Browns, Seahawks, Jaguars, Vikings, Bills, Bucks. Saints Bucks is always fun. I think I'm gonna go Steelers on this one with Ravens. Also, I forgot to mention what I won last week. I went like 6-10 last week. Horrible stuff from Jorden. Because the Steelers, I chose against the Steelers. The Steelers Bills. I think I chose the Steelers for some reason. Steelers there. Do they look good? No. Do the Ravens look good? Also no. Dolphins, Jets. Fuck it. Dolphins again. Broncos, Rams, Bears. Okay, Texans Chiefs feels like a game where the Texans should win this game. That's my thing. You know, I'm gonna pick the Texans to win. At the same time, I have so much like Chiefs PTSD that no one would be surprised. And then lastly, Eagles Chargers. What do I feel on this? Well, I'm gonna choose Chargers on that one. So
you can find me. Oh, what's that, Jorden?
Hey, Jorden here, live from my kitchen. I forgot to do the most important part of Brian. Where can the people find you?
Oh, okay, yeah. You can find me on all social medias, but especially you can find me at Auric Polaris across all social medias, and especially twitch.tv/Auric Polaris, AURICPOLARIS. Jorden, where can the people find you?
You can find me at Jordan's Thoughts on Twitter, and then let's head back over to earlier Jorden to finish this one. That's all for me. Sorry, it was not really like a fun, super cool, fun podcast. It was Jordan just talks about what he thinks where college football is going and hates his life. Thanks so much for listening. I don't know what Brian says, but please like, subscribe, rate, whatever you can do on whatever platform you're listening on. We will see you next week on Tuesday or on Wednesday. See you on Wednesday. All right. Bye.
Love you guys. I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Jorden will also see you guys on Tuesday.